What is this? What is going on here? What is all this laughter and fun about? And all this drama? Well, I'm so glad you asked. For this is what happened. This is what took place at Century's End Camporee, January 1999. The green hills and meandering rivers enveloping the township of Tabulam made the perfect environment for an invasion. Tabulam, a quiet, unassuming country town in the Northern Rivers district of New South Wales, was about to host the last Pathfinder camporee of the century. Locals made way for the endless line of four-wheel drives, trailers, buses and cars that delivered 3,850 Pathfinders and staff. But they had no idea what awaited them. The results of 2 years of planning, 17 semi-trailer loads of gear, and lots of sweat, hard work and prayer had transformed a farming property into another land in another time. The gates now ready, the first bus arrived full of Pathfinders excited and anxious to be part of the action. Even the beggars were treated well.
Welcome! Welcome to Egypt!
Egypt?
Welcome.
Really? Really?
All Pathfinders who are now Canaanites, alive out of the vehicle!
The Pathfinders found themselves transported in time in order to understand the story of Joseph around which the whole camporee revolved. They had to live in the land in which Joseph lived, the land of Egypt.
Across the Sinai Desert, the tree of safety.
Personal safety in Egypt could not be guaranteed. Danger lurked in unexpected places. Just when the Pathfinders thought it was safe, they encountered merchants and slave traders. Some Pathfinder leaders appeared willing to trade.
65 shekels for both. They're not worth anything. You're worth plenty.
They will feed your family for weeks. Pure Egyptian silks for sale.
Go through this great pyramid and onto your designated city.
But also what we have been doing is very carefully opening the body. We would take out all the intestines and the main organs, and then they would put it here in these special jars.
Girls! Oh, Rick! Not enough. We got a bit mean. Oh, Michelle?
Tarps, canvas, sleeping bags, food, sunscreen, and the result, a neatly ordered camp. Pathfinders had travelled far to be at Century's End Camporee, travelling from every state and territory of Australia and both New Zealand's North and South Islands. Pathfinders had spent 12 months or more planning and fundraising, preparing and packing in order to be at Camporee. Pathfinders on parade, always an awesome sight.
Raid! Attention!
We want to welcome you to 5 days of fun that will be the time of your life. The 1999 Century's End Camporee.
A time to celebrate the spirit of pathfindering. Also a time for farewell. Dr. Barry Gain, much loved youth leader.
Baz?
Also thanked were Margaret and Alan Bell, owners of the property, helpful, generous, accommodating. What are camels doing on parade? Out of uniform? Delivering the Camporee flag, of course. Pathfinder clubs were organised into 5 subcamps, bringing their own tents and equipment. Each club did their best to make themselves comfortable in this rather foreign land. No camping? Really? Obviously, some don't do well without their mother. Everywhere, Pathfinders were reminded that they were now in the land of Egypt. Symbols of this land were all around. The desert conditions of Egypt required rather large amounts of water. These Canaanites did live in luxury. The essentials in, the non-essentials out. The Camporee store sold everything needed, and much of what was wanted. Guess there's lots of ways to keep cool. The problem with getting up in the morning is that once you do, there's things to be done. Teeth to clean, clothes to wash, food to cook. Food! Ah, that's something else that made Camporee rather enjoyable. Clubs dished out their gourmet delights, and Pathfinders ate loads and loads of good, healthy food. Okay, well, some of it was healthy.
Kadena, go, Kadena, go, Kadena, go, Kadena, go, Kadena, go, Munchies! Go on.
Yeah, chocolate sprinkles and those pinky biscuits.
Of course, some, it appears, ate too much. The camporee was also a time to be serious about some of the essentials of pathfindering. Badges and sashes, insignia and stripes. The colour guards took their job seriously, and the camporee flags flew proudly in each subcamp.
Who is it?
Early morning. No better time to get in touch with Jesus.
Give me oil in my lamp.
To worship, to remember what really matters, and to celebrate the promise. And the best way to make sure you have a great day, God. Another essential of pathfindering. Morning worship happened not only in subcamps, but also in individual clubs, where some rather interesting sights could be seen. People also met in the prayer tent to remember his promise, and to acknowledge that camporee was a place to meet God. People who have met God, who have felt the warmth of his love, have much reason to play, to laugh, to have fun, to experience the best life has to offer. Birthdays have to be celebrated, even if the cake looks a little different. Camporee was the place to be, no matter what perspective you took. Camporee gave lots of chances to rekindle friendships, meet new people, and create memories to last a lifetime. This is what makes camporees what they are. Opportunities to get to know new people you would normally never meet. The Clarence River and the hot, humid climate of northern New South Wales created the perfect playground. Water, mud, sand and sun. How could you help but have a good time? During the daylight hours, if you were looking for the pathfinders, here was the place to find them, waiting for the action. The 5 activities were all classic Egyptian events, all connected to the story of Joseph. The titles were somewhat intriguing. Fat Cow's Last Stand? Who comes up with these names? The name may sound crazy, but the business is serious. There's panic in Egypt as 600 pathfinders try to gather as much grain into the storehouses before the famine hits. Chariots have to be made and tested to ensure that they can withstand the rigours of the task, for much grain has to be carried. But before that, the bundles of grain have to be carried through the most difficult of obstacles. Not even the thick Nile River mud would stop those storehouses being filled.
Managed to get to 20 million? Who?
Nightmare on the Nile. 4 water events, all designed to challenge, all guaranteed to be fun. The most popular of these was the Plummet of Doom, a 60-metre water slide designed to terrify and to delight, but certain to give pathfinders the ride of their life. There's a number of ways to cross a river. This appears to be the hard way. Some pathfinders obviously still learning how to walk. The leaders don't seem to be much help here. This was the way to get up, and this was the way down. Pathfinders found themselves part of the community below the Dajibu. Building a pyramid, making vehicles of transport, and defending their community was all in a day's work. Business people sold weapons, and slaves did all the things nobody else wanted to do. Community defences were tested as bandits did their best to interrupt life below the Dajibu.
did not. He didn't know what was ahead of him. And he went out in faith. He used God to help support him and his friends. And each corridor here has a heap of really good friends and people that will help someone through a tricky spot. Protect your elixir life-giving fluid. So it's pretty important that you look after that fluid. Okay.
Right. 1, 2, 3, left.
Nothing like a good battle at a camporee, aptly named the Great Egyptian Grain Robbery. Egyptians versus Arabs. The Arabs are in trouble. They have no grain. The Egyptians have plenty, which they're not about to give away. The Egyptians hear rumours of a planned attack on their storehouses, and they prepare to defend. The Arabs must not be allowed through. Who said that only boys get their clothes dirty? Mud, mud, and more mud. Nothing that a fire hose can't sort out. Pathfinders eagerly made their way each evening and Sabbath morning to the palace. They lined up, anxious to get the best seats, to get the best view of what was to take place. The action all took place on a huge stage, larger than an average 4-bedroom house. Nobody was disappointed. The music gave opportunities to sing, to listen, to participate. Staff worked as a professional production team, delivering a spectacle of colour, action and sound. Pathfinders were awestruck by the magnificence of what they saw. There was nothing ordinary about this. The program was entertaining, exciting, inspiring. The drama, based on the stories about Joseph, made an impression not soon to be forgotten. Night after night, the battle raged between the forces of good and the forces of darkness.
To abolish despair, you must give love freely.
Egypt would not be Egypt without a pharaoh. And Egypt would certainly not be complete without a mummy. This one was very much alive and never short of a word or two.
Hey, did you feel like a bit of a noodle the other night? I mean, walking on stage, walking, and your mic didn't work?
How do I feel now? Thank you very much.
And then again, I do have my cat here for company.
Who's cat? I hate to say this, but it looks just a bit dead.
Hey, it's a lot dead.
Yeah.
I don't know why he died. You know, we did everything. Gave him a cat stand. Though he did have cataracts. Poor little thing had cataracts.
Definitely. That's sad.
It's sad, isn't it? Poor little thing. It was catastrophic. You liked that one, sir, didn't you? No, we decided not to bury him in the catacombs. He's a rare cat.
Really?
Yeah, 100% ugly. I was thinking of trading him in for something like a little bit smarter.
Like what?
Like a rock. If you need medical attention during this meeting, puff. Sorry, I know, I didn't say that. I've seen many important world events. Yes, I have. Did you ever hear about a guy called Goliath?
Yes.
Yeah, and this little guy came up to him named David, and I tell you what, he rocked him to sleep.
Right now, okay.
Oh, do you remember Alexander the Great?
Well, yes.
I knew his son, Alexander the Not So Great.
Drama was a central part of the camporee, a great way to make the message of the promise make sense. Not only did pathfinders watch, they also participated.
Joseph's master took him and put him in prison, the place where the king's prisoners were confined. But while Joseph was there in the prison, the Lord was with him. He showed him kindness and granted him favour in the eyes of the prison warder.
In the journey to the kingdom, pathfinders participated in the 4 stages of Joseph's life: the pit, the journey to Egypt, filling the storehouses, and the family reunion. Patriarchs and elders, clans and tribes, slave traders, Egyptians and jailers. A colourful and eventful way to remember the story and to understand its meaning. Jail obviously was a place to be avoided. The evening program drama centred around the life of Joseph and the lives of today's pathfinders. It quickly became a favourite part of the camporee program. Joseph, the young Hebrew slave, once called the dreamer, found now in Potiphar's house, has choices to make and dreams to keep alive. Kept strong by the promise, Joseph makes choices that serve him well, now and for eternity. Dramatic effects, brilliant costuming, well-rehearsed lines and top-quality acting, all on a huge stage especially constructed for camporee. All of this could not help but leave a lasting impression. How could we ever forget the antics of Apophis? As he tries to con the young people he's chosen as his target.
Do you have what it takes to win? To survive? To overcome? To last? Until the end? We shall see. We shall see. You must discover the true meaning of the promise and decide whether or not you trust the one who gave it. Anything else goes. But remember this. While centuries end as a game, it is also much more than a game, for the stakes are high. You win! And all of your dreams come. If your score falls below 0, he wins. In fact, the whole world loses, and my dreams come true! Well, there you have it, players. The decision has been made. The die has been cast. You choose to stand with Joseph, and so you shall reap the consequences of your decisions.
Just as the young people had decisions to make, so did Joseph. And for him, it wasn't always easy. His decisions don't always leave him in a comfortable position.
God's abandoned you. What about your precious promise now, mate? You're finished.
Get out. Has your God gone a little quiet? What about those dreams? Haven't had one for a while, hey? It just makes no sense, God. I mean, my family hate me, God. I've been sold as a slave. I've been wrongly accused, and I'm now in prison. About to be taken before Pharaoh. Perhaps even killed.
And always, it seems to come back to the same thing, the choice. Go with what seems to make sense, or hang on to that promise.
It's decision time for Joseph, and it's decision time for our 4 young contestants. But remember, you only get 2 choices. Your destiny hangs in the balance.
Joseph does choice number 2. He trusts in God no matter what the consequences.
Unfortunately, we didn't get to see the final act in the play. What did happen in the end? We kept asking. Well, this is what happened. No, Apophis and Amut did not get married, have 3 children and live happily ever after. Quite to the contrary. The drama ended on Sabbath morning, with the players rejecting the offer of Apophis for Joseph to live a life of wine, women and song, and instead chose to have Joseph live a life of devoted service to Pharaoh and to his God. Apophis is furious. He knows that the Dark Lord wants results. He must corrupt these children of God. The final act opens with news from the land of Canaan. The famine has come and people are dying. Joseph sits as the Grand Vizier on his throne to hear the news of what has happened. The messengers come and bow low before him. To his utter shock, Joseph recognizes the faces before him. And now he has a choice. Does he pay his brothers back, give them what they deserve and get even? Does he finally get some justice? Apophis certainly thinks so. However, the 4 players take no time to decide. They speak with one voice. Joseph will show grace to his brothers. Apophis gets a little lesson on the meaning of grace, courtesy of Cass and Jill. And then he's told that although according to his rules they have lost, for their score is below 0, they know that they have won. For they have discovered the true meaning of the promise and decided to trust the one who gave it. Apophis, enraged, calls on the Dark Master to destroy the players. As the players courageously prepare to meet their fate, the eyes of the other statue light up. Not so fast, Apophis. The voice of the statue grows louder. Now, if you have business to conduct, conduct it with me. The Dark Lord flees in terror. Apophis is on his own, stumbling in panic and pleading for Amut to help. Amut enjoys the moment of her boss's terror, just before the flame, smoke and noise signal the demon's journey to the pit. Amut is also banished, and the children are left to hear a voice, promising the final fulfillment of the promise. Joseph is reunited with his father Jacob, and it is Jacob who tells Joseph about a dream, a vision of the future. For a moment, everything goes black. Then, in great glory and splendor, through flashing fire and blinding light, steps a figure. With arms outstretched, he speaks. All is quiet as the final words are spoken. I will be with you to the end. I promise. Each evening, and on the Sabbath morning, the drama ended when the Pharaoh spoke. He spoke of hope, of promises, of choices. Brilliantly played by Pastor Dick Dirksen from Florida, USA, we were left with words we shall long remember.
Quick! Get my ring! Quick! Bring my robe! My boy is home! My boy is home!
And the priests, who knew I deserved the worst, dropped their stones and ran to create and prepare a party. You want to know what it means to come home? It's that kind of feeling. Yes, life is about choices and about promises. You see, he could love stuff He could love buildings. He could love trees. He could love kookaburras. He could love whatever he chose. But what he chose to love is you. Jesus loves people more than anything, and every single dungeon is simply a prelude to a party.
Remember, when you say yes to Jesus, instead of slapping you for your sins, he embraces you because that's the kind of person he is.
When you feel discouraged, he will be with you. When you feel disaster, he will be with you. When you feel the enemy attack, he will be with you. There is no time ever that you need to be alone. For he will be with you.
The camporee is over. The ground is almost dry. The ground is less wet. And all around me, clubs are picking everything up, putting it in their coaches, and heading out the gates of Century's End Camporee. But before you go, there's one thing I want to tell you. God will be with you always.
Century's End, the last camporee of the century. But the memories, they will last a lifetime.
Absolutely fantastic camporee.
Very good. Excellent.
Really great. Really had excellent fun. It was really good. The activities were wonderful. Thank you very much to those that actually prepared it for us.
Remember there's a friend named Jesus who will wipe your tears away.